Stage 9, Dakar 2022, an historic South African driver, first and second. Greetings and salutations, race fans, motorsport lovers, and others, and a special welcome to Marianne Martins. Thanks for watching. As we have a guest in the studio, Rob Howie, famous co-driver. Welcome and thanks for coming in, Rob.
Thank you, Colin. Thanks for having me.
It's going to be special because he's got many facts and things and stuffs that Rob will share with us. And your proxy in the studio is Andrew Horndog.
Good evening, Colin. Evening, Rob. How are you guys doing?
Fabulous.
Fabulous after a result like that, eh?
It's been an absolutely magnificent result. Rob's your man for questions, queries, and comments, and answers to the questions that we've got. We will have the Spaniard prize a little bit later for the question from yesterday. There still might be, no, there's not time. We already have a winner the first up. And we joined from somewhere in the southern part of this magnificent country, close to the sea, by the Southern African Dakar group, Steffi Vetter. Steffi, an exciting day to be a South African and like Dakar, eh?
What an historic day, Colin. Hi, Rob. Hi, Andrew. How's it going? I'm quite breathless from today. You know, it was just, the bikes almost seemed to pale into insignificance today. Attack, attack, attack. And we had a 1-2-3 Toyota podium. What a great day.
And don't forget, we also had Brian Baragwanath in the top 10. So 3 South Africans in the top 10, I think, is actually quite an achievement. And when you look at the number of South African-made vehicles, it's just, I think, is very, very lacquer. Summary of today: a loop around Wadi Ad Dawasar, 287 kilometers of racing. Rob, that's a relatively short stage for Dakar.
Yeah, you know, difficult to say from the kilometers because of depending on how technical it is. But in terms of the mileage that they've been doing up in the last couple of days, you know, 400, 385, relatively it is short, but I think today was quite technical. And
you don't need a lot of kilometers to get punches, break things and make mistakes.
Oh no, you can leave the bivouac and hit the center island of the main road and not even make it to the start. You know, you need 1 kilometer to make a mistake. So no, you don't need, and anything can happen, but obviously the risk is a lot higher the longer the stage is.
Yeah. Andrew, you'll jump in when you've got questions and comments.
We've got a couple for Rob when we get to that segment of the show, and we can then go into a bit of depth.
Today's giveaway, just so that you know, is a very special book. It's the 10 years of Dakar, the Toyota Hilux story. And it tells the story of Toyota Hilux being at Dakar. But not only that, but you will see here, it's been signed by a whole lot of people, including Mr. Howie. So, and including, if we just go through here, Duncan Foss, Rob Howie, Leroy Poulter, Janelle de Villiers, and Nasser Al-Attiyah. So this could be Roger McCleary has wrote on the opening. So this is a very, very special book. There's a question coming up later for that book. But, Steffi, let's go to your bikes, your beloved bikes, and look at the highlights from a South African point of view. Or is it lowlights?
Yeah, there were highlights today when you look at the top of the leaderboard. But for us, I think the low light was Bradley Cox. You know, Brad has been having such a stellar Dakar, and today the cruel mistress that Dakar is came to bite him. And it really was a leveler. And yeah, we'll get to that later. But yeah, it was attack, and attack again, as we knew it would happen. The Hondas came hunting in a pack. You know, Sam lost the lead. There was just so much going on. There were riders pushing really hard from the back. And as we said last night, somebody did ask, what happened to Danilo Petrucci? He said he got lost. So, you know, navigation is still something that he has to come to terms with. But, wow, I mean, he finished in 18th place today. So what a great stage for our MotoGP star.
Yeah, he's still number 90, he's still my boy. And I think to make the transition from MotoGP to doing as well as he has done, and those rough edges, the navigation and some of the other little woolly pieces, bit of experience will sort that out. You know, we see in the cars that Henk has been, Glenn is absolutely adamant that he's got to get as much racing miles behind him to build on the results for the future. So experience, age and experience will always beat youth and exuberance. So from just to go zipping quickly into the car perspective, 5 out of the top 10 cars were made in South Africa, which is, I think, absolutely phenomenal. So the GR-DKR Hilux got a 1, 2, 3, beating out Matthias Eriksson, again the fastest, Ekstrom, the fastest of the Audis. And I wonder if the guy's got to be really good to beat Carlos Sainz. Nice to see Brian Baragwanath up there, and Shami Verrier were having a strong race. Rob, he's come on a lot from the early days of up and down performances, and he's had a really good, strong upward trajectory this year.
Well, I think that's what happens. You know, experience brings that to anything. You know, you can start off as a junior golfer. You're obviously going to get better with time. It's the same with racing, and with Dakar, it's the most difficult form to learn in a way, because you have to bring that ultimate pace, and at times you have to learn how to just take it easy, which of course, you know, you red mist people, you don't understand that you need to actually slow down sometimes.
But that's why you have a co-driver who's supposed to manage the whole situation and keep things calm and on track.
Of course, but if you don't slow him down in time, he'll crash.
Yeah,
So
and then you both.
what happens is, exactly, so you get this bond, and then you both learn together, and of course, if one of you's got more experience than the other, you can impart that knowledge. But this is a classic example of a 2-week race, and it's not won until the last stage and the last kilometre.
And it's far from over. I mean, there's 3 stages. We were just talking about them now, but we'll get into
I never
some of
understood
that.
what the fat lady singing thing meant, but it's basically what it is. You
Yeah,
have to
you've got to wait for
till the end.
Apparently, they're not fat.
I don't know why.
They are vertically challenged.
Well, bless them.
and that's how it started. So NASA extends his lead over Sebi Loeb, and there's another massive performance. And there's so much to talk about, and having Rob here, Steffi, I want to mix things up a little bit, and let's go into the bike results and talk about bike results, because I think the results and the achievements of the South Africans in the cars go hand in hand. And it's very nice to have Rob here, and we can talk about that. But I see my red shirt is quite appropriate for today, Steffi.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, because you flip-flopping. It was blue yesterday. But Cole, yeah, absolutely. You know, let's talk about Bradley Cox before we go to the results, because you know Brad's been having a stellar run, and he was flying. I think he was in 16th position when all kind of the wheels came off. Actually, a rock basically damaged his fuel tank. Let's hear what Brad had to say about it, because I think it's important to actually give the details to everybody out there, because a lot of people thought he had crashed. There was a voice note going around that he did not crash. He clipped in a canyon. But here's Brad.
Okay, Brad. Sorry, man. A gut-wrenching day for everybody. We're all disappointed. I know you're the most disappointed, but you don't know how many people are still rooting for you. And tell us a little bit about what happened. You didn't even crash. We all thought you had crashed. And I'll show the people.
Kilometer 100. I was really having a good day. I think I was in the top 10. Like, just really good. And we were in this canyon. And I came around a corner. And there was a big rock, and I swerved to miss it, and I clipped the rock on the side of the canyon, and it put a hole in the front tank, and the fuel pumps on that side, and I had no fuel in the rear because we run the rear tank first, and I was at kilometer 100, so yeah, I had to stop then, drop the bash plate, take the tanks off. Then luckily photographers were there, so they gave me a water bottle that I cut the top off to make a funnel. Took the tanks, poured the front tanks into the rear tank, put the front tanks back on, bash plate, sent it to the refuel, but then I only had the rear tank to get to the refuel, to get from the refuel home, and I had to do 135 k's. So yeah, I filled it up and I just took it cautious because I didn't want to run out of fuel. And then yeah, I made it, and then I made it 9 k's on the liaison, and then I ran out and William towed me in. So yeah, I have no words for it.
Well done, my boy. Well done.
That's a frustrated, unhappy boy, Steffi.
You know, the disappointment is palpable, and you can understand it. You know, he was chasing Mason Klein for the rookie title, and what happened was he tumbled down to 90th position on the day, or 90, as he said, a 90 and 100 million%, and 27th in the overall. And I think he's an hour and 30 something behind Mason now. But take a look at what an hour does. You know, you've got it. The Dakar's a cruel mistress. He's out there to learn. Just look at the difference in 1 hour.
How's it, everyone? Yeah, okay, so I gave myself an hour of being sad, and I'm back all happy and chirpy. And no, I mean, obviously it is what it is, and it happens, but it's rally, and I know this is what I signed up for. So, but yeah, just honestly, thank you. Everyone sent me a message, and I've seen them all, and I need to reply to a couple of you still, but really I appreciate it so much, because you guys are the guys that are. Yeah, you're the reason I'm here, and you guys are the support and the driving force, and yeah, thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Uncle Rodo, all those lessons when I used to come and annoy you and I was a kid in the workshop paid off today, because I was spinning. I even did the one finger spin on the spanner with the one tank bolt. So yeah, no, thanks guys, I really appreciate it. And tomorrow, yeah, I finished 91st or 97, yeah, top 100. So because I in the top 20 or 20% or however it works, I can ask for repositioning. So I hope they give it to me, and I think then I'll start somewhere around 40 or 30. So that'll be nice, not have to come from so far back with the dust. And so yeah, we see what tomorrow brings. Looks like a long day, and all I can do now is 3 really good stages, and yeah, the rest is get to the finish.
Amazing what a cement pull in an hour of putting things into perspective can do, Steffi.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love the fact that, you know, he shook himself by the britches and pulled himself up by his bootstrings, and just, this is Dakar, you know, this is what Dakar is all about. It's that horrible, cruel learning curve, but he's still doing us so proud. He's really had the most amazing debut. But you know who's been lying really low under the radar is Aron Murray. So Aron's riding for Hero Sports, and he's had a very, very quiet Dakar. He finished in 21st today, so he was the best placed Safa, and I think he's dropped down, moved up to 17. But he did have a high side. He didn't have the easiest of days either. He was in hard pack. He passed a couple of guys, but you know, I love listening to this boy. He's calm. He's got the right temperament, and I'm really hoping he gets a continued factory ride, whether it be with Hero or Sherco or another team. But for the first time since we started, let's have a listen to, watch Aron.
Hello Aron, at stage 9, how is the feeling today?
Yeah, I was feeling really good today. I think my pace today was much better than the previous days, especially in the hard pack and the rocks. I was feeling really comfortable out there. Yeah, caught the rider in front of me, and then unfortunately we both went in the wrong valley for a couple minutes, I think 3 or so. And then, yeah, when we found the correct way, 2 of the other riders behind us had caught up. So, yeah, I had to pass those guys in the dust. And then we rode a little bit together, back and forth. And, yeah, and then after refuel, made a small mistake in the dunes. I just found like a really soft pocket. And, yeah, it spat me over the front of the bars. But, yeah, no injuries or anything like that. And, you know, the bike's still fine. So, yeah, nothing serious, but yeah, 2 small mistakes in the end of a stage that was really close.
Another solid ride. He's 10 minutes off the winner's time, but another solid ride from him. And, you know, that's quite impressive, just to bank in day after day. It's about consistency and building an innings. If this was cricket.
You know what I'm even more happy for Aron is that, you know, as I said right at the beginning of Dakar, everybody forgot that he was on that Honda team and broke his ankle that year. So he's building his confidence, he's getting back into his rhythm, and he's really doing well, and I'm really, really stoked for him. Stewart, on the other hand, he had an okay day, but we're going to watch a video, and then I'm actually going to tell you news that's come out since then. And also, just while you're watching this video, there is rumor on the ground that KTM are picking up Mason Klein. But let's go to Stewart first.
Hi, hello. How was the day today?
Yeah, it was really fast and dusty. So I don't know. I seem to have packed normal goggles. Some other guys got some dust goggles. They were going really fast. The last 2 days we start 2 people every 30 seconds, and the guys take chances in the dust. I don't really like the taste of hospital food, so I took it a bit easy, and then some really soft dunes. So it was a short day, but a bit disappointed. But I'm not here to take chances. I don't feel like crashing, so I'll just be happy with the position. I'm not going to go any more crazy.
Thank you so much.
Love that bit about don't like hospital food. So what's the story with your young Mason Klein?
Okay, before I get to that, the word on the ground is Stuart, really, Stuart, if you are watching, listen, hang in there. You are doing so well. It doesn't matter about your position. It doesn't matter about your time. You are there to get your medal, and that's what you're going to go for. Subsequently, what happened to the stage, he picked up a time penalty for the waypoint. He missed a waypoint. But there was also, he had to go and fight with the French, which, as we all know, is not very easy when you are battling on some levels at Dakar. And there was a fuel issue, and he had to go back and get fuel because there was no fuel. And he's incurred an enormous penalty on that as well. So I think his penalty is at like 38 minutes. So from 61st place, he's tumbled right back in the positions. It is unfair. It sounds odd. We need to get more info. But you know what, Stuart, just grind it out. You've got this. You're 3 days from Jeddah.
You need to
moving to Mason Klein.
Yeah, tell us about him.
The rumor on the ground is that he is going to be picked up by KTM, and it's kind of logical. You know, look where he is. He finished the game right up there today.
Do KTM just buy up all the good guys now? Will they put him with a KTM or with a Husqvarna, or what's the other brand? A Sherco? Which one?
Gas, I think.
Gas.
Yeah.
Or do they invent another one?
Danilo is riding with the Tech 3 KTM team. Toby could be his last Dakar. Maybe with age comes a cage, he'll move away. So there is room. And with Sam performing so well, I actually thought Sam would retire this year, but you just don't know. But they can't not snatch him up. He's just phenomenal.
Well, there you go. He's your boy. You'll carry on with Mason Klein. We need to just interrupt this for a bit. For you guys who are watching, we're going to get to the cars just now. We're going to have an in-depth talk with Rob. And how many Dakars is it, Rob, that you've had? You've finished in the top 10 7 times with 4 different drivers.
No, I thought I was dyslexic. It's 7 Dakars and 4 top 10s.
I've got many issues.
That I competed in, so that was the competition-wise.
And, I mean, the 4 different drivers, all completely different characters.
Yeah, Zimbabwean in Conrad, Argentine in Lucio, and then, of course, Duncan Foss and Leroy, who are both South Africans.
Awesome. Oh, and we did do our tyre change. It's coming up a little bit later. Andrew and I think we had a phenomenal time. And it was our first go. And we didn't even have all the
with
right
challenges.
equipment.
I want to put that with challenges. We have challenges.
There's no line for excuses. The stopwatch tells you what it is. Right, well, what are the people saying, Andrew?
Ray Hendy says Brad's got the best in the business with Alfie in his corner. Yeah, lots of love for Brad and lots of pain. And Stuart Gregory, keep plugging away, Brad. You've gotten so far. I think his comment about hospital food is the difference between somebody with a factory ride and somebody that's kind of bonded their house to go and do the race. You know, that's I think the big
Andrew,
difference.
it's fair to say that, but if you look at the attitude of the two youngsters who are, you know, as Bradley says, I've had an hour and I'm cheerful, that's what you need. You have to put it behind you. And of course, he's just finished the stage and his eyes are full of sand, but if you can have the same half an hour turnaround, that's what you need. You've got to come back the next day and it's a new day.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks, not 20 minutes.
Exactly.
It's quite a mental game, this Dakar.
It's all in the mind. It's all mental. You have to dig so deep when you need to, and as I say, if you can be as positive as those youngsters, and of course, Alfie's a great mentor. He knows exactly how it works, and he wouldn't be the hero that he is if he hadn't done the same or hadn't learned quickly how to adapt to it.
How much pressure do you think comes on Brad's shoulders with Alfie there? Do you think Alfie's got some pressure on him?
Look, I mean, I've known Bradley since he was very young. We did a ride in the Valley of 1,000 Hills, and I remember Bradley took us out on the start of the ride, did a couple of laps on a little motocross track just outside his house, and I thought, oh well, if that's the pace, we're in trouble. And he was a child then. But you know, Alfie's got a long-term goal. I mean, Bradley's been living overseas doing motocross, and he's almost stopped that career to come and do rally raid. And I think maybe that's what he's worked out, that with that skill and with his dad's support, he can actually make a living. And I mean, these guys, they have a great life. I think they have a great time, and why wouldn't you give it a go if you've got the ability and the father to nurture you? I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it?
And he's playing at World Championship level.
Absolutely. I loved his little interview a couple of nights back where he said, I don't have the navigation and the whatever skills yet, so I'll just have to use my speed. And of course, if you've got that, then that's why his results were doing, he was doing so well. And of course, with time, the rest will come, you know.
It will. Steffi, take us through the results of your motorbikes.
Nacho Corneo was going to attack he did from the flag as it dropped. He was out there like a rabbit out of a gun. I mean, literally, Kevin Benavides started 13th, 10 seconds. He was 10 seconds behind the leader within like zip zap. They came in fast and they came in hard. Ricky had to make a move today, and he really did. He was pinning it, but he's still got a lot of ground to make. So at 118 kilometers, Pablo Quintanilla takes the overall lead, but the chasing pack are right on him. I mean, Brad, it was at that point that Brad tumbled down the leaderboard. And at 200 kilometers, it was really, really tight at the top. And we thought that Nacho was outpacing everybody, which in the end he did. Because Nacho Corneo ended up P1 on the stage. Brilliant ride, really fast, really dusty. With Kevin Benavides, the KTMs are not going to let go of this one. With 1 minute 26 seconds. And there he is, chasing from the back. Ricky Brabeck on the Honda, 1 minute 47. So the top three, 1.5 minutes. It's absolutely nothing. So Matthias slipped back to fourth, 2 minutes 6 off the leader, with Johan Bereda bought on the Honda. I don't know if you're getting this. 2 minutes 10 off the pace. Andrew Short had a really good day today. You know, they're down to 2 riders in the Yamaha team with Rossi injured. And Luciano has been there and thereabouts on the Husky the entire time. Then Pablo Quintanilla, he's still hunting in that top 10 every single day. And Adrian van Beveren slipped down to 7th. And then we've got, and excuse me for my pronunciation, I do believe it's Maciej Giemza of the All-In team, and 6 minutes 40 off the pace. Now, we've not seen that name, but they have been hunting down in the 20s. Joaquim Rodriguez on here, Aron's teammate, in 11th, with Mason Klein in 12th. I've got Mason at 13th. I think somebody did get pushed down at that stage. And then you've got Sam, Martin, Toby, Danilo, Santolino lost ground in place 24 and Aron in 21st. But what did that do to the overall? Because that scrambled up the overall completely and utterly. Because what happened was KTM took the top step, Matthias Valkner's back in the lead, and just like that, 2 minutes 12 from yesterday, is 2 minutes 12 the other day, with Matthias in the lead on the KTM and Sam, our British rider, Sunderland, on the gas in second. Adrian's hanging on to them. He's still top 3. So Yamaha are really trying to put in the hard yards. But, you know, if you look at the chasing pack, Quintanilla, Benavides, Beretta Bort, Nacho, Andrew, Toby, Ricky, there's only 10 minutes between the top 6. And anything can happen. Anything can happen, and I'm not calling it.
And that's 10 minutes in the overall, eh? It's not in the stage.
No,
it's 10 minutes in the stage is 18th place. 10 minutes in the overall is top 6.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Steffi, are we surprised about Brabeck and Walkner, who started, 3rd and 4th, being as high as they are on the stage? Not the having come from behind. Is it now time that the guys are laying it down and trying to put those positions out in the overall?
Yeah, you know, Ricky's good, 30 minutes off the pace, but I think this was just his playground. He loved it. He pinned it. He was going as flat out as he could. He even said he still got more gas in the tank. I think they're going to attack every single day now. But I don't know. You can't say that they've left it too late. But with the top 6 being so tight, look, anything can happen. But they're going to hunt them down. And don't forget, there's more of them than anybody else. And they're going to tag team all the way to the end. I think they're going to target stage where we're 11. I think they're going to target that stage because then they can cruise into Jeddah. But it's so hard to call now because, as you've seen over the last 2 weeks, it's been a ring-ding-dong battle affair. Unbelievable.
And
remember, the second last stage is going to be the most important because if you've separated by 10 minutes, if you start in 3-minute intervals, all you have to do is catch the guy in front and you've made up 4 places.
Front of you, yeah.
So how do you play the last day? You've got to think about starting the last day. So I wouldn't be surprised if they all sit waiting at the last waypoint because no one's going to want to go in the lead. If you can follow the guy's lines, and if you notice with all the moisture, the lines are a lot easier to follow. All you have to do is catch
chocolate
somebody.
Lines.
Yeah, and you know, it's different.
And Rob, very
somewhere.
interesting very interesting that you said that because 3 or 4 stages ago, that's exactly what Chucky Sanders did before he crashed out. He actually sat on the 1 June having tea so that he could strategize for the next and the following day.
Wasn't he? Or was that someone else? But it's true. Remember Ricky Brabeck did it last year or the year before when he won. He said we have to plan the last stage because it's so close that if you lose a minute, you lose 3 places.
I mean, it's so different bikes to cars. A car driver would never think of waiting. I mean, you've got to get the time in the bank. And
I think you have a feeling for the pace. You know, they've had enough stages to work out that they're all within a couple of minutes or seconds of each other. If you know, if I give it 30 seconds, I can almost calculate where I'm going to be. You know, you obviously look at those things. So you know where you are.
But have you got a prediction or who somebody your gut says this guy's going to do it?
You'd have to look at the second last stage because how would you know? How do you decide from those results who's going to win?
But hold on, isn't that the cool thing about motor racing? Or good sport? You don't want the result must come at the last minute. You don't want to have a predetermined result about this guy's just going to win.
No, so that's why they make different rules, like rules in Formula 1 for the fastest lap to promote that. So the reason is the end goal here is to win.
Yeah.
You don't get extra points for being third on the stage or whatever. So if those points outweigh the overall, then they'd be focused on that.
Absolutely.
But the focus is to win.
Yeah, well, winning is everything.
Winner takes it all. If there's a song in that, I think.
Second is the first of the losers, apparently.
So yeah, I think the bikes is probably the best to watch at the moment. Not taking away the results of the cars or anything else, but this is definitely exciting. And every day you're waiting for a new
development.
Yeah, it's great.
That's what we said yesterday.
We were talking yesterday about how quickly those bike results can be turned on their heads, and it's rung true today. Peter Anker's made the point that the bikes haven't had any big issues like they did last year. I mean, last year they had contaminated fuel and they were blowing up engines, and touch wood, they've had a good year.
I think also fair to say that the the class or the way it's run is working. You know, you can bring one of many manufacturers, and they're all 450s, so they've gone away from those heavy bikes that they used to be, and the manufacturers have built some very competitive machinery across the board. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's
I don't know,
5 manufacturers there.
they're all mixed up. There's monsters. You know, what's that? I saw it just now.
There's a
Yamaha.
Shirka, there's a Yamaha, there's KTMs, Heroes.
So it's all different, isn't it? It's not 6 KTMs at the
Privateers.
front.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all mixed in.
And the
there.
privateer on a replica bike can be reasonably competitive. Well, not sort
Well,
of.
and he is. You know,
Well, your
Brad, if
first
you think
rookie-
about it,
your
Brad
first
and
rookie is a-
Mason,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, on the 450 rally replica, yeah, absolutely. But
Rally
we
replica,
need to
love
look at our boys. Our
Yes,
boys.
well,
Let's have a look.
get there,
because
get there.
In the big news for me, and I'm watching him, eagle eye watching him. Aron Murray has moved up into second in the original bimotor class, just one below Benji. Now don't forget, Benji was in the lead last week. Benji Malo. He's ring-dinged back down. He's gone back up, and I think Charon's only like two minutes something, or 3:37 of Benji. So Charon's having a super good Dakar. He came 37th. He's lying 37th overall. And for Malamoto, I mean, that is absolutely incredible. I'm really pleased with that. Super pleased with him. JK and Stewart are both still in there, but Stewart's not going for position anymore. Stewart's going for his medal. JK had another solid day. He's lying 48th overall. Now, this is the boy that had a massive high side 2 days ago. Bumped his head really hard. Said he was going to tap back. He hasn't tapped back at all. He's just pinning it, going. And then you've got our Achter Orsers, you've got our John Deere tractors, you've got Stewart, Walter, Werner, and Paolo. And they're there to do a job. Walter's hands were really last night. He had a better day today. He's riding within himself. Our hearts dropped because Walter went off the radar today. And the whole country is just going, no, just get finished. And he started moving again, and there he is. And he's just got to get to the end. I think if there's one person this year that really needs to get to the finish, it's Walter Blanche.
So you've. He will make it. You know, the video I saw yesterday, where in his interview, there's a lot of support and a lot of advice, and the way Alfie seems to be, he's almost like a mother hen or a daddy. He's that overseeing role, adding advice and words of wisdom to our riders, and he's a proper, true legend, that guy, with a wealth of knowledge. And, you know, when he speaks, you listen.
And also don't forget, Carl, that Walter's riding with Mason and Brad. He's riding on Bart van der Velden's team. So he's on the Baz Dakar KTM racing team. So he's got a lot of support around him. And as I say, just to finish with, he's there. His Dakar journey is called #unfinished business because of what happened when he was with Joey and supporting Joey, and he couldn't finish that year.
Yeah. Well, there's your bikes. It's social media minute time. So, Andrew Horn, what have you got?
I've got Willem Avenant saying Sipho is 12th overall in a privateer. So that gives you an idea of where the privateers are sitting. And he also says he can't remember when we've seen so many privateers and rookies in the top 30, which is a valid point.
That's what they were talking about last night.
Yeah, apart from that, all is quiet at the moment.
Well, there you go. So they're all waiting to win. This is a cool book that you autographed. Thank you very much, along with the rest of your gang of.
It's a pleasure.
That's quite a club of people who've driven for the 10 Hiluxes in the 10 years. There's some very special people there.
Yeah, it was actually a lovely function, and shame. It was very unfortunate about the passing of Dr. Van Sale, who was so instrumental in getting the whole project on the ground, and he was, I think, the biggest supporter, and he saw the sort of, as he was so good at, he could see the bigger picture and the importance of getting the brand there. And also by keeping a manufacturer part in South Africa, and he realized that there was a good team behind it, and yeah, shame he would have loved to have been at the launch to get his own book, you know. But anyway,
yeah. But he was, just to go back to that point, there came a time when, with the success of both, you know, when a manufacturer or a country far away from the home of the manufacturer starts doing well, then the European branches start wanting to bring it back so that they can ride on the coattails of glory that's started by, in this particular case, by Hallspeed. And Dr. van Zyl was adamant, both from a European and a Japanese point of view, that the Hallspeed arm became the Gazoo arm.
Well, I think you have to go back to what you said earlier about how many South African built cars are featuring in the top results, and the reason for that is we've always had such a good cross-country series in this country, and we've got a place to test. You know, Namibia is not far away. The championship here is very good. It's competitive, so I can't imagine you'd get much testing time in Japan. You know, so it's all relative, I think, and that's what they realized in the big picture is look at the results. And if you look at the last 10 years, why would you take the program away when the results speak for themselves, you know?
It's not just the drivers and co-drivers that make the success of the lot. I mean, you know, from the years you spent, how many cars did you build that have raced in Dakar? 60, 70?
It's 70 odd. I spent 20 years with Klein at Hallspeed. So, yeah.
I mean, you know that journey intimately, and without the mechanicians and construction team behind the scenes, these results don't happen.
Well, you know, if you think back to 2001, 2002, we built some Nissans for a certain Stefan Peter Hansel and Gregoire de Mavius, whose son's in one of the side-by-sides, I think. So you go back, that was small beginnings. 2 cars.
Colin McRae managed to spread a Nissan Bucky all over the desert as well.
2004 we had McRae, Ari Vatanen, Janelle, and there was a French chap who, I forget his name now.
But those are power names that...
Yeah, of course.
And
but
they don't go and drive
no.
without respecting Glenn and the machine.
And that's because there was a respect, and when they came and tested here, they realized that there was a proper backing, there's a proper team behind it, and there's technical support from the manufacturers what you need. But I think I wouldn't take the kudos away from what Glenn and his team have done, and why would you? I mean, as I said, the results.
Magnificent.
On that point, we've got a question just talking about teams of people going to Dakar, and Thomas Underhay is asking sort of how many, well, obviously drivers, depends on how many cars you're running, obviously, but you know, Hallspeed, for example, how many people would they take to Saudi?
Well, on average, there's probably 4 mechanics per car, but then you have logistics people, physios, and whatever. And I think in Volkswagen's heyday, the team was 90 or 100, if I remember, for 4 cars.
2017 Peugeot, 109 people.
And I think that year Hallspeed was just shy of 90. So I might be wrong, but maybe that included some of the overdrive.
That included overdrive.
Included overdrive. So Toyota's effort was, I mean, that's a lot of people.
In 2017, there were 32 direct Hallspeeds.
Yeah. So that just shows you the, you know.
And this year, apparently, there's 40.
Well, there you go.
So there's your answer. But you're talking about the results and the South African results. So we just go and look here. Toyota, 1, 2, 3, then an Audi and a ProDrive, Sebastian Loeb coming in 5th. But that's Janelle, then Henk, then Nasser. So Janelle had a good solid run, and Henk actually had a puncher and got stuck. And he's still only 9 seconds behind Janelle on the stage. So maybe this is Henk getting a lot more comfortable with where they are, and I take my hat off to the way Janelle's been able to bounce back and put the mental crap from earlier in this week away. It weighed heavily on his mind some of the
Yeah,
stuff.
but that's his experience, isn't it? That's what I was saying earlier. You need that experience to overcome that. Otherwise, you'll be sulking for the rest of the week. And look where he's come. I think he's in 5th now, isn't he?
Yeah.
And if you look at those results, it's like the bike results. Check the first 10 minutes, and it's how many cars?
It's just, never mind that. You go down to 13th position, 5 minutes 34. Lando Terranova in the Hunter, 5:34 off the lead. Yeah. It was tight.
It is.
But now the gaps, I think day 1, stage, what was it, 1B, whatever they call it, that has just made some big gaps. But there's nice fighting gaps, and we'll get to the overalls now. But before we get there, I asked Glenn to send us a short little message. He wasn't able to talk to us tonight, so I asked him to send us a little voicemail, which he did. And when Peter, who's driving tonight, has got it, and I've got the thumbs up, so listen to this from Glenn.
So hello Colin, yeah, brilliant day today, but not without some stress last night. I must tell you, we had a very big night for the team. We had obviously NASA's diff to analyse and see what had happened, and that was a bearing that had failed, not the actual diff gears and things around the diff that we manufacture or have manufactured specifically for us. So that was a relief in one way, that of course we didn't have some catastrophic problem we were about to deal with, but the problem was the dampers. All the drivers were complaining slowly over the last 3 days. Anyway, we found the problem, so that's all the dampers off the cars, all the rears and the fronts of NASA. So a lot of dampers to rebuild, and the lads were busy, in particular Rocco, till very late last night. And it paid off. Janelle said now their car is back where it should be, and it shows in the performance. Janelle winning the stage, brilliant. Dennis also finding his way there, not easy, hey? And Matthew and Ness are very happy to be in 3rd. Don't want to open tomorrow. They've got massive leads going into the end, so 0 risk for them. Great day for the team. 1, 2, 3. Not often you have this.
The other thing that you got is a brilliant result. The other notable South African performance is the 2 centuries. Matthew Serradori in 7th, 3 minutes 15 off the lead, and then Brian Baragwanath finally got a solid stage. He and Leonard Kramer got a solid stage put together. 4:03 off the front. Shami Variawa 5:34, and then Chris Visser 13 minutes off. Ernst Roberts 23. Skulkberger finished in the daylight. He's had a bit of a nightmare of a race for a number of reasons. And when starting right at the back with the traffic, in the traffic jam, he's had a bit of a hectic one. But he came in during the daylight, and so he was very ecstatic. And I'm hoping that Peter's found that little daylight clip of them all happy coming in while it's still, the sun is shining. And that's a big thing to look for, when you come from the back, eh, Rob?
Well, I think
we haven't got that one, but we'll get back to that.
Just talking about Glenn's comment there about the 1, 2, 3. Audi yesterday, and Klein came up and said that's the first team to do a 1, 2 this year.
Yeah.
A 1, 2, 3 is rare in Dakar, unbelievably rare.
And in fact, in Klein, if you're watching, you know many things about stuff. Can you try and find out when the last time a car manufacturer had a 1, 2, 3? We know Kamaz has done that for the last 65 stages of Dakar. So, that's
65 years of 40 years of Dakar.
Absolutely.
Well, no.
This is Kamaz. It's Russia.
And Klein also asked if Rob would ever return to the navigator's seat, but I think...
We've spoken about that before. And would you like to just explain again to people why you are not still the famous current Dakar co-driver?
So in 2018, I got called up to sit next to Janelle, and it was great. Finally I'd I'd been through all of these other drivers, which were good for me because that was the time to learn and to get experience. And
now you cracked the big time.
Finally,
This is your break.
I made the big time. So in 2018, I sat next to Janelle, and we did the first South African cross-country race in Dahlstrom, and we won. So of course, it felt like I was, that big smile was finally falling off the face, you know. So anyway, our first cross-country race was in Dakar, in Qatar, and prologue, NASA first, we were second, so second on the road, and you can't believe it, you know, here we are. And unfortunately I had a few issues with my odos, so when I pressed to reset they all went blank. So of course now you've got odos that aren't working and you're
flying blind.
Well, you've got the GPS, but suddenly I'm used to point, zeroing, and now I've got to try and use the overall distance. And then, Qatar is a operating desert. There's construction, there's road. It's not like the Dakar where you can sort of catch your breath after a couple of Ks and okay, I've got it. You know, they're calling junctions every 200 meters until you get into the desert. And I struggled a little bit.
When it goes blank, you say, you tell Janelle.
Well, I didn't say it in the beginning because obviously you try and deal with the problem. I need to get over it, But anyway, kilometer 89, we hit a caution quite hard, and I broke my back. Not for the first time, but I think it just brought on an injury that I'd had a few times before, and so that was me. I was in a hospital bed in Qatar, and okay, so we'll just get better and carry on, And when the doctor came and asked me if I could move my feet, yeah, what do you mean? He said you should be paralyzed, and I think that sort of hit home with me that it's not worth the risk,
But you still hadn't decided to stop then. It was only afterwards when the South African guy, doctor, if I'm remembering the story right, I might have been a bit blurry last time you told it to me.
Well, I think while you're in Qatar, you're just dealing with the adrenaline, and you're still, a couple of days into the whole thing. But when I got back to South Africa, I went to Wilgeheerwil, had the surgeon have a look, and he said,
you've got a choice.
You've got to be careful. So I took he did what he said, and I decided that it wasn't worth it in terms of my future from a health point of view, So after a year, I'd made a full recovery, and I could go back, but I also think if you lose the momentum and it's something you build up over years. It's not easy to go back into a car after being in one for 2 years and then just be able to go flat out,
And then the other thing, Rob, is I just want to talk about that flat outness and how fast things happen. The other thing is that there comes a time where you've actually got to make a decision. You might be okay now, but if you have another one of those big smacks,
in motorsport you can never be scared, because if you're scared, then you're always going to doubt something, or if you look at the top of the dune, you can't be scared. And you have to have the confidence that there's nothing on the other side, and it's good to go, and that's the way it is. So I think, and it applies to any motorsports or high-risk sport, if you're scared, it's time to stop. And I'm not saying scared in terms of of what's behind there. It's the scared of getting injured.
Of the consequences. And it might not just even be scared, it's hesitant. And
well, it is.
You
go into like a personal limp mode where you want to look after yourself.
And then that puts the driver in danger, and then it's all just...
Well, the team is looking for the best. The team is expecting the best of you, and like I say, if you're carrying a stone in your shoe and you're not telling anybody, then you're not performing at the best. It's time to give somebody else who's not in that same mind space, they must run with it.
And now we'll talk about some racing a little bit later, but I also want to get into front runner. And you now, you explained it, from going cross country slowly, you now go cross country. I mean, you're going cross country fast, you go cross country slowly now.
So now take time to look at the scenery and whatever.
And appreciate it. And
And
you
of
build
course-
the equipment that makes the journey
I'm
happier.
part of the team there, and I'm the head of manufacturing, which I'm really enjoying. And in fact, the owner, Stan Illman, is a one-time South African off-roader himself. You know, he and Richard Schilling and all of those guys
Fox
were,
Carolyn and
well, they're
that,
Roof of Africa winners in the time and whatever. So we've been friendly and what have you, and that was the link.
Awesome. Let's go to, I think we've gone, Daniel, we don't know what happened with Daniel Schroeder yet. Stuart Thompson his team, Justin and Rob and Chart are running them, and they've been very good in getting us some info, but so we don't know what happened there.
Oh, hold on, give me one second.
But we'll go on to the overalls and what's happening with the overalls now, and just some of the highlights or the implications of it. And I think the biggest move in the overalls with this win of today is Janelle, who moves to within 9 minutes of Terra Nova, and that's on stage 9. There's an omen in there. On stage 9, he comes within 9 minutes of Terra Nova, and you can bet your bottom dollar that because this is a Glenn David Richards duel as well, over and above
of course,
Toyota Pro Drive. And
fortunately, unlike Formula One, they don't have any influence, you know, with the race director.
no,
like
but it's more. Oh, thank God for that. But it's more the satisfaction of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
racing.
I think it's fair to say that Glenn has wonderful admiration, and they're good friends, you know. So they're in the same industry. They both sort of from the UK at the time where you know, when Glenn was cutting his teeth with rallying and whatever, Dave was co-driving for Ari Vatanen. So of course it's nice to walk past and shake his
Where
hand
your
and
guys?
say, how's it going? You know, so. But that's
Colin?
definitely achievable, the 9 minutes, you know.
Yeah,
I think the
absolutely.
place before is, it looks like another hour or so, 45 minutes. That might be a little bit, but then again, he always has to stop with a problem, and anything's possible.
Absolutely. Yes, Steffi.
I don't have a lot of information, and I'm sure you guys will be able to expand on this, but I do have news on Ryan and Daniel. So what happened was they broke a right side shaft and they lost four-wheel drive. They managed to limp into the neutralization, but obviously they couldn't repair the vehicle there. They had to then get out of the neutralization and do the repair. And I'm sure that you can expand on what actually then happened from there.
Well, Steffi, no, I can't, because we were putting the show together when other info came in, and I haven't got the message from the team yet. But it's no fun driving a car in with only two-wheel drive. And the part that is important that you mentioned, in neutralization, that 20 minutes, you're not allowed to work on the car inside that time. So you've got to basically park the car, walk out, have a cup of tea and a chill out, and then fix the car on once you go back into the timed area. Yes, Andrew.
I was, Johan put that information through to me, so I was going to elaborate on that one. We have piles of questions for Rob about Dakar.
Do we want to, Steffi, is there more about your beloved motorcycles that you'd like to share?
No, I'd rather listen to Rob. It's so interesting, and he's got so much information and so much knowledge. So at this stage, you know what, let's look forward to the bikes tomorrow. But Rob, love listening to you. It's fascinating.
It's brilliant.
Okay.
Questions?
Well, first of all, we've got Marianne Martin saying in 2014, Mini locked out the podium in the overall results. So there's a bit of information.
Take that. Yeah.
There we go.
And
Exactly.
basically that team, Sven Quant, is back now with the Quattro e-tron.
Well, you might have noticed that there's a few cars missing, and they've been replaced. And yes, you can see Sven in the background in the pictures in the bivouac, and of course with all the drivers.
Absolutely.
Used to be in his
basically
team. Yeah.
BMW.
Well, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yep.
Next one.
Next one was France Moore, which he actually asked last night after the show ended. How do waypoints work? And I think Rob is the right person to answer this one for us.
Well, a waypoint is a secret. They use a few. They use a safety waypoint, a secret waypoint, and, well, this, I'm assuming it's still the same. I'm out of it for a couple of years, but it's a secret that the organisers put down in their very fancy GPS that tracks where you're going. So I often get asked, it's not like having the old Garmin or your phone on the dash that shows you where to go. They monitor where you go, and if you validate the waypoint, whether it's a safety or which has a bigger radius or a hidden one, if you validate it, you're good to go. But if you don't, then you need to go and find it.
So you're sitting in the car and you're going along, you've got a cap heading, compass heading, and you go and you've got an idea that there might be a waypoint.
So it
opens up the...
Well, on the tulip, on your little drawing on the road book, it'll have waypoint 51, which is kilometer 51. So you know it's coming. And on the side where it says waypoint, you'll have waypoint 50, because that's the last one you validated. And of course, you're doing the cap, as you say, and the kilometers feel right, we're in the right direction, there's the palm tree, there's the deep, and it goes 51. You validated it. And of course, once you've got that, it's on to the next tulip and off for looking for the next waypoint.
So now you go along and the path looks good and you've found the palm tree and everything's all happy and it doesn't go chip. Then what?
So now you've got to go back to the instruction before, and assuming it's not too far away, you've got to work out, you know, we were going on cap 100, which is easy because that's as the crow flies.
Yeah.
But if you're surfing dunes, you can be slightly to the right or slightly to the left. And then you have to monitor. That's why the cap's so important. You can't let it go over 100 for too long because you'll be on the wrong side of the ideal line.
And you haven't got a tool that says, give me the average heading that we've gone for the last while. You've got to monitor that yourself. It's like sailing a boat with a compass. There's no tool to tell you to go cap 100. That's the line. And what is the feeling? You think, okay, fine, we should find it pretty soon. You go back.
No, it's not that relaxed. Did you notice how irritated Loeb was the other day when they were circling, you know, for 15 minutes? The problem is there's so much going on, and if you can stay calm and you can be accurate, the radius is normally quite big. So if you're accurate enough, you normally get it. And but then you can be on the wrong side of a dune. Eh? Remember, the radius is quite big. And if you're not on the right side, you can be circling here, but you should just be over the other side.
And does there come a point where you've got a 15-minute penalty, or the penalty that you're going to get for missing it is less than the time that you're wasting? So you say after looking for, I don't know, if the penalty is 15 minutes, you look for 15 minutes, you haven't got it, bolt to the next one.
Well, you wouldn't look for 15, would you? You'd look for 5 and then make a call. So you have to assess where you are. If you're in a massive dune field and there's bikes and cars and it's going crazy, it's better to pick the line that you can see that's safe and concede those 5 minutes or 10 minutes because you're going to waste your time.
Talking about those bikes and cars that go crazy in the desert, Peter, there's that picture of the trucks that we've got there, just to give the guys an idea of, I think it's a video, a little bit of a traffic jam or whatever it is. Just roll that for us, and then I just want to get your thoughts on a couple of things. Just check out this little clip, and it kind of gives us an idea that we may not see on some of the official footage that gets shown. Now that's
normal. Yeah, that's normal. But you see, these are the competitors further down. So these are not the Kamazes that jump that dune there, whatever. These are more of the T4s and the
service trucks. Yeah, we saw the Setri racing truck there. Yeah. But I mean, that kind of traffic jam, when it can, you say it's kind of normalish.
Yeah, if you're that part of, that's why when you you mentioned that Skulk finished in the daytime. He would be used to that, which is where you don't want to be. You know, if you're at the sharper end of the field, the pace is faster. There's no one in the way. If you want to attack a dune, you don't have to drive and compromise your line by going around 4 trucks, because the actual line you want is through the middle, which is where they are.
And it's also a driving line and a navigation line.
It's that, but normally you need the momentum. So how do you get momentum if you're skirting the dune rather than, you know, going through the bottom?
At the sharp end, you mentioned the relative speed of the bikes and the cars. And at the sharp end, the bikes are pretty quickish.
Yeah, I think if you look at the winning bike time and Janelle's time, you'll see it's a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
In, call it 280, 300 Ks. So, yeah, the sharp end, the top 30 of each division are pretty close.
But the problems can come in when you set off all the bikes ahead of the cars, and then you've got, just like in the cars, there are people who are hoping to finish. There are bikers who hope to finish, and a lot of their attention is on staying alive. And then you've got the big mega fast factory cars coming up on them, and the speed differences can cause.
Well, that's the nature of the race and the way it's structured at the moment. You know,
what would you do to fix it?
Well, I think you only have to bring Janelle's incident of the other day, where you know, he's innocently, as you say, the elite, you know, top 10 or top 20 cars are going, and now they're catching bikers that are not at their pace, and as you say, they're doing the Dakar for different reasons, you know, with a GoPro strapped to them and, you know, doing things for social media back home, which is, it's great. That's what the race is. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. The problem is you end up with these safety issues where there's a guy who's fallen, he's tired, and Janelle, who unwrongfully was penalised because it wasn't even his sentinel information that was being used. You can't see what's on the other side of the dune. So it's not a malicious thing. And for me, when I just look at that, I just think the penalty doesn't suit the crime, because he didn't do anything. Yeah.
And it's not like you could see the driver. Yeah.
So I think if you look at the results, and it will probably need a bit more in-depth thought and some, you know, proper thinking, but it almost feels like you should send the top 30 cars or 30 bikes first, then give it a break, and the top 30 cars, and fair to say, looking at their times, they shouldn't meet up with each other, you know, especially with a 15-minute gap in between.
Not without something untoward happening.
Well, of course, but you know, the chances of a pro biker being stuck and not being able to pick up his bike would be an injury, not somebody who's exhausted and, you know, he's
had enough. Yeah.
The top bike today was 229 and Janelle was 223.
So there you go. Exactly. So if you could race them in their speed groups,
they'd sort of move across the desert,
exactly. And then let the rest of the guys who are in a different category or a slower group, you know, I'm not being nasty or negative towards them, but that's just the way it is. That's what it is. Reality, that's the fact.
You need to pop off a little WhatsApp to David Costet and help him.
Yeah, well, I think this, like I said, I can't believe that in the regulations there's a rule that says if a car drives over a dune and lands on a bike, you get a 5-hour penalty. I can't believe that rule exists. So there's got to be a blanket rule for safety that says you get a 5-hour penalty. Yeah.
But which you can understand.
But how do you impose that when, I mean, you let's say Janelle's 5th on the road, so all the bikes that he hasn't caught yet, let's say there's 40 bikes, and the 4 cars ahead of him, how many tracks is that? And you're all going the same cap 100 that we spoke earlier. So how do you know which you should be more left or more right, not to hit somebody that you can't see? So
it's an interesting one. Let's
something for the future.
Question?
We've got another one. Overdrive Toyota, are they running the T1s or the T1 Pluses? I think they're running the T1s.
No, they are running both.
Have they got
to my knowledge, they are using the T1 spec, which is that's the same bodywork you saw in Glyn's insert picture, the wider wheel arches with the bigger wheels. But I don't think they've got the newer engine.
Yeah.
So they're still a V8.
So they're running T1 Pluses with...
So they're modified T1s with the original V8 engine.
Yeah. There you go. that answers that one. And then last one for Rob, what's sleeping in the bivouac like? With everybody working on their cars and revving and...
Well, I mean, I was fortunate. Dirk and I used to share a camper, and with that luxury is better than sleeping in a tent.
Sure.
But for sure, you need lots of earplugs and the odd sleeping tablet when they are straightening an aluminium sump guard with a 10-pound hammer next to your bedroom. But the reason you would stay there is because in the morning you've got an extra hour's sleep as opposed to going into town, you know. So
yeah.
And you've got a nice coffee machine in the camper.
Yeah, never mind all of Dirk's German cakes and marzipan.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes marzipan, but with a good coffee in the morning, it's not bad.
Absolutely magic. Right, let's go. Rob, I really wanted to talk a little bit more about it, but you're going to have to come back and explain Frontrunner. Just quickly, how many tons of aluminium do you guys convert into roof racks and things?
It's a couple. It's a couple.
A lot?
50, maybe.
50 tons of aluminium.
Maybe more. Put me on the spot there. I wasn't prepared for that question. But it's a lot.
Colin, should we deal with a certain challenge that was issued?
Yeah, absolutely. But first, I want to just go to the question that we had for our prize, which was the Spaniard hamper. How many consecutive Dakars has Janelle de Villiers competed in? And just to back us up, we have all of the answers there. The answer is 19. And that, the answer is 19. So we've got our winner. Who was our winner?
Our winner on YouTube was Yuri Buerta, who is watching tonight. He has commented as well. So Yuri Buerta, congratulations. You're the winner on YouTube.
And we've even got a Facebook winner as well.
We've got a Facebook winner as well. Calvin Bland. I haven't seen him commenting, but if Calvin Bland can possibly get in touch with us, that'd be great. Congratulations, guys. Enjoy those.
Right, and getting on to our competition for today, this beautiful Toyota book, 10 years of the Toyota Hilux story. The question we have come up with after much head scratching, and it's autographed by many famous people, including Rob Howie, Janelle de Villiers, Nasser Al-Attiyah, Leroy Poulter, Glyn Hall, and others. How many Dakars, and you've got to listen to this carefully, and I've got to read from the script, otherwise production gets a murrin with me. How many Dakars has Hall Speed competed in? And there were some interesting hints around earlier. So how many Dakars has Hall Speed competed in? Write it on Facebook and on YouTube, and the prize will go to the first, and if there's a tie in the first answer, then it will look for some other interesting the bonus point fact, which you can choose and we'll verify. So yesterday we showed you the video of Nasser and Mathieu Baumel changing the tire on their Hilux, and Sebi Loeb changing the wheel on the ProDrive. And without a doubt, the challenge was Horndog and I, how long would we take? So we did it. We didn't practice. This is the absolute first time. But before we go to that, we're going to say goodbye to Steffi because she's got to go to radio and do many things for radio. Steffi, thank you very much for your time, knowledge, and energy that you give us. It's always a pleasure having you, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow after another splendid day's racing.
Thanks, guys. Lovely chatting, Rob, Andrew, and Colin. But I do have one thing to throw out to our viewers. So this was just thrown at us on one of our pages as well. What about Valentino Rossi joining Danilo Petrucci in a car in 2023? Let's think about that. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Good night.
Cheers, Steffi, and thanks a lot. So, what do we call it? We call it the spare wheel or the wheel change challenge. So here we go. We didn't practice. This is real. It's I haven't seen the video, but I was apparently involved in it, and it had its individual challenges. Roll that tape, maestro. Go. It's fair enough that it was stopped there.
Unfortunately, unfortunately we couldn't drive it in.
And we couldn't start it because it's running out of petrol. And we haven't got a second spare wheel. So we're imagining that we've got a spare wheel.
No helmet, no hunts devices, no gloves.
Details, Rob, details.
No. And a nice concrete floor, no sand to get inside the threads.
Jeez, I was expecting
so now we're imagining we're changing the wheel.
Two of you putting it on.
Cars dropped.
So the reason we weren't able to jack the car up fully because of issues. So if anybody's got some air gas, we need 150 liters. Please deliver it to Vatswaye. So just look at that time. It's a minute. We've got the wheel on. We calm.
The other one back.
And then once you see the spare wheel goes back.
Someone's working hard. Can you see?
I mean, this is phenomenal. Rob, are you interested?
Well, who's put the spare wheel back? Where's the other wheel? Okay, well, there's you haven't strapped it in, though.
No,
you'll be a Sebastian Loeb, but get a penalty for it not being in the car when you finish.
Colin's not getting in a big hurry.
Oh, you do. Boom.
Door.
Less than 2 minutes. And the reason it stalls is because that's why we need the 150 liters of avgas. So, Rob, 2 minutes. I think that's a phenomenal effort.
Yeah, not bad.
In his understated
Looks like
way.
you two already.
That's how he goes.
I'd like a special shout out to the abuse that I'm getting privately from my racing team. So to Malcolm and Kenny who are watching, thank you very much.
You're going to be sponsored by Plumlink next year.
Yeah, exactly. I hope they're enjoying the couch and the beer because
bizarre,
they're going to be doing that in the
Completely
future.
bizarre. And on that note, Rob Howie, there's so many things that we didn't get to talk about. Thomas Rundle, 2008, in your early days. The stuff that was Duncan Foss. The fact that in your Dakars, Conrad Rotenbach, that was a good year. Ninth, as Rookie of the Year. That was
I had fun in all of them.
And then Lucio Alvarez, a mad Spaniard.
Well, Argentine, but he was doing well, and I believe he had a mechanical issue. So shame he's fallen down the rankings. But you know, they were all good fun. And each year you learn more, you meet new people, and it's part of the path of what you were doing.
And I think that bit of the learning and the growth just adds, that must be why the real successful guys are not under 30.
No, because you need to have cut your skill or cut your teeth when you're young. That's where the speed comes from, and it's only afterwards that you make this amazing bond with these people who are happy to share. You know, I remember in 2016, the start of the race, Sebastian Loeb was a couple of places ahead of Leroy and I wanted him to sign a hat for my son. And I know, you know, the French TVs around him, and I thought, I'm not going to go there now like an idiot with a pen, you know. So I waited for the end where we finished 5th and I think he was 9th, and it was much easier to walk backwards down the podium queue and say, would you mind signing my son's hat? So that sort of sums it up. That,
timing is everything, isn't it, Rob?
And it was great.
Talking of timing, it's timing for us to go.
Indeed.
And I just need to say thank you very much to Andrew the Horn Dog who was here. And then a special word to King Price and KingPriceXtreme. They have made this show what it is in terms of the production values and stuff. So big shout out to King Price and to Spaniard and to Vatswaye for giving us access to this lovely emporium of vehicles. Remember, go and support companies that like racing, and we prefer to support them. Tomorrow is 375 kilometers from Wadi Ad Dawesar to Bisha. It's going to be a difficult stage, but they also say it is going to be very, very fast. To the production team, Fritz, Peter, Lamage, and Henk, thank you so much for what you did. This is Peter's debut on the controls. I think a splendid job. And to you watching, thank you very much. Remember, be kind, be nice. And let's have a random act of kindness tomorrow. Thank you. Goodbye.
Cheers.